So there's this interesting dichotomy, which is the performance of healing versus the reality of pain. So we live in an era where healing has a look, a language, a brand. You light the candle, you journal, you quote bell hooks on Instagram, you go to therapy, you write boundaries in all caps, you stage your apartment after texting your ex. But are you better or are you just fluent?
That is the question. Are you actually becoming free, or have you simply learned how a healed person is supposed to look? Because healing has developed a costume. You see the candles, the journal, the carefully written boundary announcement, the inspirational quote posted immediately after an emotional collapse. None of those things are automatically false, but they can become props. A person can learn the language of trauma without ever confronting the behavior their trauma produces. They can explain every trigger while continuing to be controlled by every trigger. They can tell you exactly why they behave the way they do without ever changing the way they behave. That's not transformation. That is sophisticated self-description. The performance begins when looking self-aware becomes more important than becoming self-governed. And social media rewards the appearance because the appearance can be photographed. Real healing usually cannot. See, real healing is often private. It's repetitive. It's unimpressive. It's what you do when nobody is watching you become better. If this kind of clarity is what you have been looking for, subscribe to the Hermit, please, because here we're not interested in looking evolved. We're interested in becoming difficult to control.
And performance and act out for everybody else's gaze instead of our own benefit. So performative healing is essentially anything that you do in the name of healing that is really just to either convince other people that you're healed, or that limits you in the way that you view healing, because it's all about and contextualized and narrated by everybody else, including family members or other people in your life. Essentially, it's healing to prove a point, but like to who? So it looks like trying to keep up with a TikTok girlie, trying to convince your ex that you're over them by posting on social media and working out and doing all of these random things that we do sometimes in our stories. Or maybe you do nothing like that, but instead of getting real and deep within yourself and asking yourself those raw, real questions, getting self-aware, you decide that you're just going to act out the behaviors of somebody who is not hurt. Deep down inside, you are. You just don't want to admit it because perfectionism and performance and act out for everybody else's gaze instead of our own benefit. So performative healing is essentially anything that you do in the name of healing that is really just to either convince other people that you're healed, or that limits you in the way that you view healing, because it's all about and contextualized and narrated by everybody else, including family members or other people in your life.
Who is your healing trying to convince? Your former partner? Your family? The people who doubted you? The audience watching your stories? Sometimes the healing journey quietly becomes another courtroom. You are no longer trying to become whole. You are trying to prove that the person who hurt you lost. You want them to see you exercising. You want them to see you traveling. You want them to see you smiling, setting boundaries. You want them to see you living your best life. But when your transformation still requires the attention of the person who wounded you, they still occupy the center of your life. You may no longer speak to them, but you are still performing for them. That's not freedom. That's attachment wearing better clothing. The healed version of you does not need the offender to witness the recovery. It does not need applause. It does not need to win the breakup. It does not need to make someone regret losing you. It simply stops building life around the wound. This is why performative healing feels safer than real healing. See, performance allows you to control the image. Real healing requires you to enter the parts of yourself where the image falls apart. It asks whether you're still angry. It asks whether, are you still afraid? It asks whether you're still waiting for an apology, still secretly hoping that someone notices how well you appear to be doing. The Hermit does not ask, how healed do I look? The Hermit asks, what still has power over me? That question cannot be answered by an audience.
And then later, we'll like to do these group activities all the time. I notice, especially in LA, you'll tell somebody about meditating or something, and they're like, oh, you should come to my meditating class. What? Like, just do it alone. No, man. There's this class, though. We got this big class, and it's on fucking Sunset Boulevard, and it's only $80. It's only $80 for half an hour. Or you can go the full hour for $150. They give you a little bit of a discount. You can just meditate right now. Just close your eyes. You can actually meditate while you're standing. Just stand there. It's called, being present. No. Like, I got to do it like in a group, in a room with people, so they can all see me doing it and we can all see each other doing it and go, oh, yeah, we did that thing.
This is where healing becomes consumption. People begin believing that transformation is something they can purchase, something they can attend, display. They go to a retreat, a seminar, a sound bath, a special class in a fashionable room. Again, none of those things are necessarily useless. It's true that a group can support you. A teacher can guide you. A ritual can interrupt an unhealthy pattern. But no room can do your internal work for you. The retreat ends. Remember that. The music stops. The candles, they burn out. The teacher goes home. And eventually, you return to the same room, the same mind, and the same decisions that were creating your suffering before you arrived. That is where the real practice begins. Can you remain present without someone guiding you? Can you sit in silence without turning the silence into content? Can you change your habits after the emotional excitement disappears? Can you make a difficult decision without gathering an audience to certify it? The market sells healing as an experience because experiences can be packaged. But transformation is usually a discipline. It is not what you felt for 90 minutes on Sunday. It is what you repeatedly choose on Monday. Healing that exists only inside of a ceremony is temporary relief. Healing that changes your ordinary behavior has entered your character. You see, the tool is not the transformation. The class, not the transformation. The announcement, not the transformation. What you become after all of it is over, that is the transformation.
I think I might go crazy because, and I'll tell you why, healing is a lot like running a business. You need systems and you need processes in order to be able to run it effectively and get the profit. People will zone in on that one act, that one tool, that one thing and go, that is enough to heal me. And it's not. Listen, with systems and processes, I'm talking about coping strategies, boundaries. That is what's going to support your foundation. And then your cash flow is your emotional regulation. You being able to regulate yourself instead of going off your rocker. Like, that is it. That's the money. And then your profit is your confidence. It's you being able to sustain a relationship. It's you being able to go to work without breaking down and it impacting on your finances. That is the profit. But we need things in place, more than one, to be able to do that. And a lot of what you see on social media is performative healing. It's marketing, but it is not necessarily real. And it might not work for you.
This is the part many people avoid. Real healing must eventually produce evidence. Not evidence for the internet, evidence in your life. Do you regulate yourself differently? Do you recognize the pattern before repeating it? Do you choose different relationships? Do you speak more honestly? Do you recover more quickly when something activates the old wound? Do you still abandon yourself whenever someone threatens to leave? These are the measurements. Not how many psychological terms you know, not how beautiful your healing routine looks, not how many people agreed that your former partner was toxic. Your nervous system does not care about your branding. Your life responds to your patterns. You can own every journal and remain unwilling to tell the truth. You can attend therapy and use everything you learn to explain why everyone else is the problem. You can preach boundaries while using silence as punishment. You can speak about emotional intelligence while still being unable to tolerate disagreement. Information does not automatically become embodiment. Insight does not automatically become discipline. And awareness, without correction, can become another form of avoidance. Listen, the point is not to turn yourself into a machine or reduce your humanity to productivity. The point is to recognize that genuine change becomes visible through behavior. The person who is healing does not become perfect. They become more honest. They become more responsible. They become less reactive. They become less easily recruited into the same old trauma. They stop confusing intensity with intimacy. They stop calling every discomfort a threat. They stop using their wound as permanent permission to wound other people. That is progress. Healing is not a personality. It's not a status. It's not an aesthetic category separating the enlightened from the unhealed. It's the gradual removal of what keeps controlling you. And sometimes the final obstacle is the identity you built around being wounded. Because eventually healing asks you to release more than the pain. It asks you to release the specialness of the pain, the story, the villain, the audience, the explanation, the version of yourself who is always recovering but never arriving. There comes a point when repeating the story is no longer processing it. No, at that point you're preserving it. There comes a point when announcing the boundary becomes another attempt to remain connected. There comes a point when calling yourself healed becomes less important than living differently. Real healing may never produce the dramatic ending you imagined. The person may never apologize. Your family may never understand. The audience may never recognize how much work it took for you to become calm. Do it anyway. Heal where nobody can applaud you. Change the habit that no one even knows you have. Tell yourself the truth you cannot post. Become peaceful without making peace another performance. Because the deepest transformation does not make you louder about what happened. No, it makes what happened less capable of governing you. That's not the performance of healing. That's the power of healing. Like this video, subscribe to the Hermit, and share this with someone who may have learned how to heal, but is finally ready to become free.